Can Zhen Huan, blessed with both beauty and talent, truly outshine all in the imperial harem and enjoy everlasting favor? Since Mei Zhuang became pregnant, the emperor, except for spending time with the empress on the 15th of each month and occasionally staying a few nights at Maifu Hall, spent almost every night at Mei Zhuang's Yuruan Hall. For a time, everyone in the harem was looking sideways, jealous of Mei Zhuang's exclusive favor but helpless. Mei Zhuang indeed enjoyed great favor. However, with just a slight mention in front of the emperor, she was able to have Ling Rong, who was in Zhou City, immediately brought over to Taiping Palace in a sedan chair to accompany Mei Zhuang and ensure the safety of her pregnancy. Usually, concubines without high favor were not allowed to accompany the emperor to Taiping Palace for the summer retreat, let alone Ling Rong, whose rank was low. This probably made the concubines left in Zhou City extremely envious. Indeed, Ling Rong laughed and said, after Shermarin found out, she was so angry that her nose was crooked, which is a pity for such a beautiful nose. June 19th was Wen Yi's birthday, and the weather was somewhat hot, so the banquet was held at Fuli Hall. Fuli Hall was built very early, and was originally a small garden where Empress Dowager Zhao Kong of the previous dynasty spent her later years in Taiping Palace. The hall was paved with white spiral shells, with intricately carved railings all around, delicate and translucent. Being not far from the lake, one could clearly hear the sound of silk and bamboo orchestral music from the Shuich Pavilion on Fanyue Lake. The sound clear and distant without the noise. In the center was placed a golden dragon banquet table, facing north and south, with the emperor and empress sitting side by side. The empress, dressed in a dark blue thithi dress with double small sashes, sat beside the emperor with her usual proper smile. However, today, her smile inexplicably seemed to flicker with a faint sadness. Over the 10+ years since she entered the palace, the empress had never been the emperor's favorite. Since the child she bore as a noble consort died young, she had not had any more children. It was rumored among the palace staff that the empress had lost the ability to bear children. Although the emperor was polite and respectful to the empress, he did not have the same affection for her as he had for Empress Chunyuan. The Empress Dowager was also always indifferent to the Empress, perhaps because she minded that the Empress was born of a concubine, unlike Empress Chunyuan, who was born of the main wife. I slowly drank a sip of pear blossom white, and thought sadly that the Zhu sisters, who had successively held the phoenix seal and become the mothers of the world, were really pitiful. Empress Chunyuan died in childbirth, which implicated the then highly ranked consort Da and consort Xian. And now this empress has also lost her only child. I shook my head, thinking that behind everyone's glory in this harem, there might be an unknown sorrow. The banquet tables for the close relatives, noblewomen, and concubines were placed from north to south and east to west according to the strict palace rules. Male relatives of high rank were not allowed to meet and gather with the concubines except during major festivals and banquets. Today's banquet for Wen Yi's birthday was a family banquet, so the formalities were naturally relaxed. To the left of the emperor and empress were the seats for the noble relatives and noblewomen. Down the line for large tables made of purple sandalwood were for Prince Qishan Xiansun, Prince Runan Xianji, Prince Qinghe Xianqing, and Prince Pingyang Xianfan. Prince Qishan Xiansun had a round face and long eyebrows, with a pale complexion, exuding an aura of pampered nobility. The princess consort of Qishan was also very beautiful, looking much younger than him, probably a new concubine taken after the death of his main wife. The princess consort of Prince Runan Xianji was the daughter of Marquis Shenyang, He Shi, who was not particularly outstanding in appearance and looked frail, without the pride of a noble family's daughter, only quietly smiling at her husband without speaking to others. Prince Runan was robust, with eyes often emitting a sharp eagle-like gleam, and his face always carried a solitary and cold expression, making him seem unapproachably cold. Having lost his mother at a young age and not favored by his father, he was known for his rigid and aloof nature, but he was extremely affectionate and indulgent towards his princess consort, to the point of being completely submissive, which earned them the secret nickname husband who fears his wife among others. It was a remarkable couple. During the banquet, seeing the emperor's special kindness and attention to the Runan royal couple, it was understood that this was due to the pressing military situation in the southwest, and among the close relatives, only Prince Runan was relied upon in military affairs. With a smile like a new moon's cool curvature at the corner of my mouth, it seemed that today's battle would be quite a spectacle. It's just that I didn't know how she was going to play out this drama of making a comeback. Neither Prince Qing He Xianqing nor Prince Pingyang Xianfen were married, so they didn't bring their families. Prince Qing He Xianqing's seat was empty, and he was nowhere to be seen even when the banquet started. The emperor just laughed and said, "This sixth brother of mine must have found some new toy that he can't tear himself away from." Prince Pingyang Xianfen was only 14, a young boy just coming into his own, with sword-like eyebrows and a bright, spirited look. On the right, the first seat was occupied by Mei Zhuang, who had been promoted to noble consort, and Chao Qinma, who had just been conferred the title of Jieyu. Today's banquet was not only to celebrate the first birthday of Princess Wen Yi, but also to congratulate Mei Zhuang on her pregnancy. Therefore, they were the real protagonists of the day, and even Consort Duan and Consort K, whose ranks were far above theirs, had to sit in the second row. The fallen Consort Huan and Feng Shui shared the third row, while my seat and Lingrong's were in the fourth row. Lingrong was particularly brought to sit with me in case she felt intimidated. The other concubines were seated even further behind. Mei Zhuang was dressed in a crimson-embroidered spring swallow in the apricot grove brocade, with an apricot yellow gold-trimmed tulle skirt, all adorned with embedded gold jewelry, especially a red gold, harmonious and auspicious hairpin on her hair bun, decorated with lotus flowers, the character for double happiness, and bats with two harmonious immortals at the top of the pin, symbolizing a wish for many sons and blessings, and everything as one desires. This was a gift sent by the Empress Dowager upon hearing of Mei Zhuang's pregnancy, with pearls and jade and glittering red gold, signifying unparalleled honor. Mei Zhuang looked radiant and spirited. Consort Jieyu Chao was dressed in a lotus-purple upper garment with a turquoise gold-embroidered green leaf and flower-trailing skirt, her head full of sparkling jewels, also dazzlingly beautiful. They were surrounded by a large group of palace maids, constantly refilling their cups with fine wine, and were the most flattered. Since entering Taiping Palace, Consort Hua had not seen Xianling since the day she paid her respects to the emperor with the others. Today she sat quietly in plain makeup. Fortunately, Feng Shui was the most tolerant and non-contentious person, not making things difficult for her. It was not until just before the banquet started that Consort Duan arrived, supported by 2 or 3 palace maids on either side, tremblingly making her way down. The emperor quickly got up to support her, saying, "You rushed over here even though it's so hot outside, and it's not anything urgent." Consort Duan's pale face broke into a smile. "The first birthday of Princess Wen Yi is a big event. I must come to congratulate her. It's also been a long time since I've seen Wen Yi." Consort Jieyu Chao hurriedly had the nurse bring Wen Yi to Consort Duan. It was hot, and Wen Yi was only wearing a red embroidered Danfeng Chaoyang colorful silk belly band, making her look even more like a little ball of powder. Consort Duan looked at Wen Yi with an extremely gentle and kind expression, and reached out as if she wanted to hold her, but for some reason she abruptly stopped herself, gazed at Wen Yi for a long while, and then slightly smiled bitterly. "I really wanted to hold Wen Yi, but I'm afraid I might accidentally drop her. It's the thought that counts but the strength that's lacking." She then turned to the palace maid supporting her and said, "Jixiang." The palace maid named Jixiang hurriedly presented a gold lock and a gold wire 8 treasure-strung bead necklace to Consort Jieyu Chao. The gold lock was one thing, but the centerpiece of the necklace was a thumb-sized emerald, its green so lush it seemed to drip water, clearly a fine piece from the old pits of fine jade in Wunan country, surely a beloved item of Consort Duan's over the years. "Indeed," the emperor said. "This necklace looks familiar, like it was part of your dowry when you entered the palace." He also said, "She's still a child. How can you give her something so valuable?" Consort Duan leaned to one side, coughing a few times until her face turned an abnormal flush, then said with a smile, "Your Majesty has a good memory. It's just that I've been ill for years, and it would be a pity not to use it. Wen Yi is so adorable, it suits her perfectly." Consort Jieyu Chao obviously did not expect such a generous gift from Consort Duan, and was both surprised and delighted. She quickly thanked her on behalf of Wen Yi, saying, "Thank you very much, Consort Duan." Consort Duan gently caressed Wen Yi's cheek and sighed. "The last time I saw her was when she was just a month old, and now she's grown so much. She has delicate features and will surely be a beauty when she grows up. Consort Jieyu Chao smiled and made way, saying, Your Highness flatters her. Please take your seat. Having stood and spoken for a while, Consort Duan was already panting and drenched in sweat. The palace maids hurried to help her sit down. This was my first time seeing Consort Duan since I entered the palace, the woman who had served the emperor the longest. Her beauty was not less than that of Consort Hua, but she was pale as paper, frail and shivering with cold. She could not sit for half an hour without leaning weakly against a maid, and even the thin silk dress seemed too much for her to bear, let alone the heavy pearls and gold phoenix hairpin on her head, which weighed her down so much that she could hardly lift her head. She did not at all resemble the daughter of a military general. In contrast, Consort Hua beside her presented a completely different picture. Both Consort Duan and Consort Hua came from military families, but Consort Hua had the demeanor of a military leader's daughter, decisive and commanding, intimidating the harem. Even in her decline, she did not lose her charm. Consort Duan, on the other hand, seemed extremely frail, not just in her delicate appearance, but so weak physically that she needed assistance to move and was out of breath after speaking just a few words. Consort Duan nodded to everyone and looked at Mei Zhuang a few times. When she saw me, she was slightly startled, then gave me a meaningful smile, and turned to the emperor as if nothing had happened and said with a smile, Your Majesty has acquired another beauty. The emperor did not respond, just smiling dismissively. The empress, however, said with a smile, My sister has not seen outsiders for many years, so she still has the sharp eyesight of the past. The comment seemed out of place, and everyone was too busy laughing and talking to pay it any mind. I didn't think much of it either.
Follow us to avoid getting lost and enjoy endless exciting stories. For more content, please go to the Story Wall homepage to view more exciting novels.